And you're listening to Subculture After Dark. Well, the brand new Aussie music continues tonight on our show. Newcastle's Tired Minds have got an album coming out this September, but they've just dropped their first single off this new album called The Fray of Rotted Rope, and we thought we want to play this track on air, but also we want to chat to somebody from the band. So we've actually got Ben from the band on the phone right now. Welcome to the program, mate.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
No problem. Now, mate, this track is probably one of the most aggressive and energetic tracks I have heard all year. Tell us a little bit about this track and its beginnings.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this track is probably the one that was probably easiest for me to write lyrics to. I think the melody in the middle, and we're trying to, in a weird way, trying to make it a little bit repetitive, so we could try and make, vocals be somewhat a little bit catchier, which isn't exactly how it turned out, but it's something that we're kind of leaning towards a little bit more with some of the music we write. And yeah, it kind of came back. I think it was originally Liam's riff, the guitarist that wrote it, and then Paul came in. Paul's really good at putting in some really kind of discordant, kind of weird bits into the songs. It kind of makes it a little bit more Tired Mindsy as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's, again, like with any of the Tired Minds songs, they're always like a little bit dark. And with I guess this fits in with the theme of the rest of the record. Everything's more like the lyrics and tone of the record's meant to be a little bit more downbeat and downtrodden, and without being too explicit, the themes around the record are more like around power in the body, and people in our lives that have been affected by that.
Yep.
But yeah. So we recorded these songs, or these songs are written and recorded like quite a while ago. I think it was 2019 that we recorded them. Written before then as well, but with lockdown happened, a lot of life happened as well. We had some really close friends pass away, some really close family as well, which kind of each time, life happened, as it does with everyone. Kind of delayed getting this out more and more. But yeah, so it feels really good to have this song out. This song is actually my favorite off the record. I think it's my favorite. I think maybe because the lyrics is the most personal to me. But yeah.
You said that you found it quite easy to write those lyrics, and you said they were quite personal. Do you normally find it really easy to write from the heart like that?
I think it depends on the song. Some songs, like there's one of the songs on the record that was quite difficult to write to, but then, all it took for me to kind of get more into flow of writing that is just like, that's probably going for attention now, but I'd start the vocals after the song had started. But the drummer Isaac, had the idea of like maybe starting the vocals just before all the instruments kick in, and that changed my whole feelings of the song completely as well. And I really love singing that song now. But I think it just depends on the song, because some songs, you kind of you feel an attachment to straight away, and other ones you kind of have to warm up a little bit more to. And I think, workshopping that stuff with the other members of the band has been really helpful as well. And I think, we've got some good learnings from how we went about doing this record that we can pull into the next one. I think because I live interstate, so it makes writing a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And so normally the guys would write a song or demos and everything and send them my way, and I'll, have listen to them and see if I can get into them or not. But next time, I think, so I'm not so much of a diva. I love to, I think, I have the ability to actually kind of go down and work on songs with those guys now. So, we're looking forward to doing that a little bit more too. Just finding the times are the tricky part. Everyone's got I think everyone else in the band has their own other bands going on as well, and working life on top of that as well. So, but yeah, I think now that we've got a little bit more momentum, now getting these songs out, it's given us a little bit more drive to keep pushing and write some more music.
Yeah, the title of the track as well, The Fray of Rotted Rope, for some reason I just get this image of an old maritime rope on a wharf. Where did that title come from? Was there an image in your head when you first thought of that?
Yeah, I think because the lyric is like men like them will play amongst the fray of rotted rope. And I really like the imagery of like, I guess I was trying to be a little bit more, what's the word? Visual, metaphorical.
Yeah.
In terms of like a rope normally being, normally meaning safety, and then that safety kind of being destroyed, and also then being used against its initial intention as well. So yeah, I think that's probably the main part of it. I kind of like the imagery of people playing amongst ruin, or a room. It's really hard to explain, but like just, I guess, like I'm trying to do it in a way that I'm not actually giving away what the song is about.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like people taking advantage of other people, and using something that's meant to be a safety net, and using that against its initial purpose.
Definitely. Now, we mentioned that the album, The Body is a Burden, is out on the 8th of September. Is this track a good example of what we can expect to hear on the rest of the album?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because the difference between doing like a full-length LP, and this, because it's only a 5-track, is that you've got a little bit more wiggle room to kind of explore, and you can have like 5 songs that are completely different from each other, then like another 5 that are a bit more similar. Each song on this record is a little bit different. Like the tones and everything are all the same, but there's some more like rockier songs rather than just like chaotic songs, and some of the starts are a little bit more like bass groovy heavy, but then they've all got pace to them as well. I think that's what we kind of wanted to do with this record, is just kind of make it drivey.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm trying to think what the main influences. I think the thing is that as we've gotten older, our influences towards heavy music just change like a lot, and the music that everyone listens to in this band is so different from one another. Like all the way from like electronic music to jazz to hip hop and to black metal and shoegaze, etc. So yeah, I think for us, like, still not even trying to nail down what our sound is, but trying to keep like I think for us the main theme for our music is kind of like dark hardcore, and trying to draw in influences from, I guess, like European like darker hardcore bands as well. Like I think we all love bands like Cult Leader or Death Wish-esque bands like Cult Leader and Gaza and Cursed and all those types of bands as well. So I think that's like at least my North Star when it comes to that music. And I feel like there's been less of those bands in recent years that are at least like prominent, but they're starting to come back now, like bands like Betrayal of Good, etc. But yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I was going to ask too, does the fact that you guys have been recording these tracks for such a long time because of the pandemic being in there as well, does that mean that we kind of get a bit of a longer snapshot of what's been going on for the band as well, like with changing of sounds and things like that?
Yeah, well, even before like we even recorded that, the last record we did was in 2017, which was Loom, and I think the themes for us, like since that record, like for me, like I've gone like vocally. I remember I started off like back in like 2008 or something. I was trying to do a full like metalcore scream, and I got really overdoing that. So then I just started doing like a yell, but then that yell sounded pretty shit. So I've been kind of enjoying trying to be a little bit more scream focused, and I think that's something that's changed a little bit since Loom. And I'm sure that'll probably change again when we move into like any other music that we do as well. But yeah, I think so we actually recorded the songs ages ago, and then they only got mastered, I think maybe last year or the year before maybe. So So it wasn't really like a drawn out process. The writing was a drawn out process, but the recording was done pretty quick. I think for me, the longest part of recording is always me, because I've got to they'll record stuff, then I'll have to find a time to kind of fly down or fly up to Newcastle and record with those guys. Then, I actually like when I'm recording, because I tend to be a bit of a pain in the ass when I'm recording, because I don't like what I write and I second guess myself. But yeah. And that leads us to here.
Yeah.
Songs out today, which is awesome.
So what have you guys got planned now for the rest of the year, apart from the album release? Are you looking to get out there and do some shows? Because I know there's a little bit of talk about a Southeast Asia tour and perhaps a European tour. What are the plans now going forward?
Yeah, for sure. So I think for us, we probably won't be able to hit overseas until next year. And so we're trying to reach out to see what we can do for next year in terms of overseas stuff. We'd love to go to, I think Europe's the end goal for us to go to. Southeast Asia would be cool just for an experience as well. It's just really trying to find the time to fit that in as well, especially because half the band are music teachers as well, so they're kind of dictated by the school term. I'll happily quit my job to do a European tour. But yeah, so I think for this year it's just probably doing more Oz-based shows, unless we can pop over to New Zealand or something. And yeah, so I'd love to hit Melbourne and Adelaide, Sydney again. We've played Newcastle a fair bit. We've played the Blue Mountains this year. And we played Sydney as well a few weeks back. But yeah, I'd love to do a few more interstate shows as well.
Awesome. We would definitely love to see you in Melbourne. But for right now, for all of our listeners right around Australia and the world, we are going to play The Fray of Rotted Rope. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to this amazing track for the first time?
I think I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening. It means a lot as well, I think, for us to get our music out there and people actually give a shit as well. So anyone that listens, thank you.